Hey you guys, how's it going? Decivye here. Welcome back to another Microsoft Flight Simulator. And now you guys, it is time for our full flight video with the 787. Today we're going to be taking the 787 from Manila to Hong Kong. Yes, this is a flight that I've previously done before on the A320. But I thought for this flight, since we've already done it before, we could change things up a bit with the weather. So we are flying in rainy and extremely low visibility conditions in both Manila and Hong Kong, so it should be fun. So it's gonna be like close to zero visibility as well when we arrive in Hong Kong, and I'm gonna switch off ATC for this flight because honestly I can't be bothered setting up a full IFR flight only to have, let's say, my flight my flight simulator crash in mid-game. Restarting it is just a pain. So for the sake of this video, I'm just going to be turning off ATC completely. We're just going to be doing our own thing. And yeah, that's basically, that's pretty much it. Pretty much what I wanted to get across in this intro. Again, before we begin, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you guys are enjoying this series. And if you guys haven't already, of course, subscribe and join the colony. Comments down below, you guys, on which full flight you want to see next, and I just might do it. Alright, you guys, without further ado, let's get into this. Okay, let's get things started out first with our flight plan, obviously. If you guys are even considering, like, I don't know, doing a flight like this in extremely low visibility conditions, and you don't plan on making it an IFR flight, and you're turning off ATC, and you just want to wing it, I highly encourage you guys to please study the area of your departure and arrival airport, especially if it's a place that you guys are flying into the first time, because you wanna be aware of like the terrain surroundings around you when you're conducting these flights. Obviously, you don't want to smack into them on your way down when you're making your final descent. So it's always important that you guys study like the local vicinity, plan your departures properly, plan your arrivals properly, and yeah, that's all there is to it with low visibility flights like this. I mean, we're pretty much gonna be flying off instruments the entire time, and I'm gonna probably hand fly this like for the first like 1,000 feet when we're departing. It'll be cool because we can't see anything outside, and we'll have to pretty much rely on our instruments here. So we got the flight plan set up, and what was I gonna do? Increase the range we have here so I could see a little bit more. Cool. And then we could plan our departure. Departure off runway 24. We'll do this. Okay. Has it not reflected? There we are. Departure route. Okay, perfect. That should be fine. Alright, we're just about ready for pushback here. For pushback, I'm going to be using ATC, but I've completely switched it off. Pretty much, yeah, I'm just really going to be using it for pushback. Nothing more. What is this? Ignoring weather at this airport? I don't even know what that is. Oh, whatever. We're just really going to be using this for pushback. We're not going to be using it for clearances or anything like that.
Crown King of Flight Sim 112 requesting pushback. King of Flight Sim 112 pushback request accepted.
Okay. brakes have been released, and we just need to pretty much wait for pushback at this point in time. So initial departure, gonna be climbing to about 7,000 feet of altitude. Gonna have that set up in just a few. And then our cruising altitude for this flight, you guys, be set at 39,000 feet. So I made this like a custom weather condition, right? So it's just pretty much based off like the rainy weather preset. But yeah, I just made the visibility really, really low. So you really can't see, when you're landing, you really can't see until like you come across the approach lights. That's pretty much when you can start to see like things in front of you. But yeah, I purposely made it that way. And we got a bit of clouds as well on our way to cruising altitude. So it should all be good fun. I'm pretty sure I had air traffic controllers switched off. I'm not really too sure why we're getting vocal readbacks. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Ground King of Flight Sim 112 tree requesting the end of pushback.
Okay, from here on...
112 tree request to end pushback received.
From here on, we are not going to be touching ATC. They might give us a warning when we take off, when we weren't cleared to take off, but forget about it. I thought I switched off ATC. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm not too sure why we still have the vocal readbacks. Anyway, set this up for departure really quickly. 7,000 feet initial climb. We're going to be maintaining runway heading on departure. We're not going to be setting this up. Pretty much, actually, once we depart, we're going to switch to LNAV on departure. Holding 200 knots is fine initially. Auto thrust can be switched on at this point. Set. Flaps. Probably, like, I'm thinking 15 degrees. Set for flaps. One more. There you go. 15. Rotate speed. Probably going to be 160 knots. And I think that's pretty much the aircraft all configured for our taxi to runway 24, which is going to be the runway in use. Flight controls testing. Make sure everything is working. Because pretty much going to be flying on instruments, right? So might as well, like, just make sure everything is working correctly. And for this specific flight, you guys, I can't stress it enough how much you need to monitor your instruments for this flight. Like, you really need to keep an eye on it. Especially now at the current state of Flight Simulator. You know, there are a lot of bugs with autopilot and stuff like that. The last thing you want is to, you know, completely dive to the ground and just having no control over your aircraft. So with this flight, right, it's very important that we focus on watching our instruments, because it's gonna be key for this flight. Okay, coming up on runway 24 now. Kind of difficult to steer the 787, honestly. But pretty much ready for takeoff roll here. Got flaps set, everything has been set up. And ready for rolling. Stable. Toga set. As you guys can see, I mean, you can't see the end of the runway in these, in this condition. So we're heavily reliant on our instruments here. 100 knots. Rotate at about 160 here. Okay, 160 rotate. Okay, positive rate of climb gear up. Yep, as predicted. They'll come back to us, stating we weren't cleared, which we already know. Just gonna ignore that. I'm still hand flying the aircraft at this point in time, just pretty much relying on my instruments for flight. We want to make sure that we have a positive rate here and that our speed doesn't really fall below that yellow line. Gotta be careful on these types of departures. From here, turn on autopilot, LNAV activated. Let our speed come up before we start retracting our flaps. Check that vertical speed is doing what it, giving us a positive like climb as well. Right about here, it could start increasing our flaps or retracting our flaps. Speed check. 5. Speed check. We're good. Flaps all the way. Speed check. Auto throttle can come up to about 340 knots at this point in time. Aircraft starting to ascend to our set vertical speed of 1,900, so that's good. Currently a little bit off our flight plan, but autopilot should correct that. Just passing 3,300 feet. And as you can see, you guys, nothing. Like, we can't see anything, so I mean, like I said, you have to keep a constant monitor on your instruments, making sure that everything is like working the way you want it. This type of flight like is completely different from when you could see outside your windows, right? Because you can sort of gauge if you're diving steeply or ascending too quickly. Here, there's none of that. Rain has stopped, but we're still in clouds. There's none of that. So you have to really keep an eye on each and every one of your instruments, making sure that it's doing what you want the aircraft to do. I had an experience wherein, because autopilot is sort of like buggy nowadays, right? I had an experience the other day on descent when doing a similar route to this, or similar conditions, wherein the autopilot dove me down to like 6,000 feet per minute of descent rate. Nice. And it was just crazy, and I didn't know why it was, I didn't set it at 6,000. It just automatically went to 6,000, and I had to take off the autopilot, reset it, fly the aircraft by hand at first, and I couldn't see anything. So it didn't feel like we were it didn't look like we were diving steeply, but when you check the instruments, readings were saying otherwise. So it's really important for these type of flights that you make sure that your flight, your instruments are having correct readings on what you set the autopilot up to be. And you can see we broke out of the first cloud layer. Pretty nice. And just as we're climbing to 7,000 feet. So everything at this point in time seems stable. No issues, thank God, on departure. Hopefully there will be no issues on arrival as well. And if we take a look, we are pretty much on point with our flight plan. This should pretty much take us straight to Hong Kong after we reach this waypoint. Starting to rain again? No, we're good. Okay, so climb to 7,000. We're just about to level off here at 7,000. And I'm probably going to set up the aircraft to fly to 27,000 for our next point, and then we will climb up to Cruz at 39,000 feet. And as usual, you guys, I'm going to put the aircraft on time-lapse mode when I do these, when I do the climb and pretty much our cruise mode. So yeah, in the meantime, you could enjoy this, you can enjoy this climb to, what did I say, 27,000 feet initial? Yeah. Enjoy the climb to 27,000 feet, you guys. Guys, we are here at 27,000 feet, and I was right to assume that Microsoft Flight Simulator would crash on us. Good thing I didn't make this an IFR flight, otherwise it would be a pain in the ass to like restart and redo everything. But I got the aircraft set up to what it was, you know, when we originally departed. We may not be in the exact location, but it is what it is. But we're still here, 27,000 feet. We're about 434 nautical miles from Hong Kong, and everything seems stable. So at this point in time, you guys, we're probably gonna extend our cruising altitude to 39,000 feet, and we're gonna go up. We're not gonna extend. We're gonna go up to 39,000 feet, and from there we're gonna go on cruise mode and just cruise our way to Hong Kong. It should be, well, once we get about above 30,000 feet, it should be clear skies from there. But as you can see at this point in time, like we still have some clouds on our way. But once we get sort of above 30,000, should clear the cloud patches, and it should be smooth from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this up. We're gonna set this to 39,000 feet. At these altitude, you probably want to maintain like a vertical speed of 500 feet per minute, really. So you're going to increase that to 500 feet per minute, and we're going to put the aircraft obviously on time-lapse mode for our climb to cruising altitude of 39,000 feet. Enjoy, guys. Alrighty, you guys, we are here at our cruising altitude of 39,000 feet, and seems everything is working normal. We're holding altitude 39,000 feet. We're approximately 311 nautical miles from Hong Kong, and we'll be starting our final descent at around 140 nautical miles away from Hong Kong is when we're going to start doing our descent. Probably go like down to 10,000 feet. My plan is to overfly the airdrome at like around 5,000 feet, and then join downwind for runway 25 right, and from there do an ILS approach for this arrival. As you know, we are landing in extremely low visibility, so an ILS is needed for this approach. And yeah, everything so far is working okay. About 287 knots or so, and yeah, I've ran into no issues so far, and we're gonna continue this flight, and I'll catch you when it's time to descend into Hong Kong, you guys. Alright, you guys, I have the aircraft now on final descent. We are about 106 nautical miles from Hong Kong International Airport. We're holding about 287 or so knots of airspeed, descending through 35,000 feet. I have the aircraft set to descend to 10,000 feet, so we're just gonna quickly cross-check our instruments over here, make sure that the autopilot is indeed flying at the vertical speed that we have set it to, which is 2,000 feet per minute, which is good. And as we approach Hong Kong International Airport, we're going to be bleeding off our airspeed as well. Now, you guys, this part of the flying is actually the most critical one, because we have to rely on our instruments, right? Because in a few, when we hit that sort of like 10,000 feet, we're going to be covered in clouds, and we're not going to be able to see anything pretty much until we see the runway approach lights, which is very close to short final. It's pretty much like almost zero visibility. So yeah, we're going to be doing some heavy instrument flying here. Again, it's very important that you always monitor your gauge like throughout this descent to make sure that the aircraft is doing what you set it up to do and that everything is working normally. Obviously, you don't want any accidents on your way down. And like I said, prior to even starting this flight, like, make sure you guys study the terrain of the area, right? Because Hong Kong is sort of known to be like mountainous as well. Like around the airport there are mountains, and you don't want to be slamming into those mountains when you're conducting your approach, especially when we don't have air traffic controller to give you vectors. You're gonna have to plan this approach on your own, right? So just keep that in mind, and just like yeah, make sure you plan it properly. Now, obviously, to speed things up a bit, I'm going to put the aircraft on time-lapse mode till we get down to 10,000 feet, just to make things quicker. So I'm not even going to be changing the camera angle. We're just going to go from here. Might be adjusting speed from time to time, but yeah. So enjoy, you guys, this time-lapse for our descent to 10,000 feet. Here at 5,000 feet, decided to descend to 5,000 feet. We're just about to overfly the airdrome over here, and I'm gonna turn. We're gonna start going from LNAV to our heading hold, And I'm gonna start to switch our downwind to our downwind heading of 070. So we're just coming across overhead the airport. We're gonna switch to 070 for our heading. That is our downwind leg. Again, you guys are gonna probably need to pre-plan this and like learn the headings that you need to take for your arrival. And do the calculations so that way when you're in the area, you don't struggle to get the headings on the spot. It's better if it's pre-planned. And 5,000 feet, we're gonna slow down to about 200 knots here for our airspeed. I want about 200 for our downwind leg. We're just gonna let that bleed off, you guys. And from here, we're going to start preparing for our ILS. So departure, arrival, we want ILS for runway 25 right is what we're going for. ILS 25 right. And then we're going to go ahead and click on execute. And just confirm that we have a signal on the localizer, which we do. Give you a closer look at that. And now we have the glide slope, which is also captured over here. And in just a few moments, that pink diamond is going to rise as usual. Now for this approach, you guys, I'm going to wait for the pink diamond to reach the first dot. And then I'm going to turn to my base heading and activate localizer mode from there. But in the meantime, we can start preparing for arrival. So I'm going to set our flaps to 15. So we're making sure that we don't overspeed here, so I'm gonna do this in stages. We'll do flaps 5, bring it down, flaps 10, and flaps 15. So you guys can see 5,000 feet. We're still heading, so we're still good. And as we approach our base position, I'm going to slow the aircraft down to about 180 knots or so to prepare for our arrival. Again, we're not going to be able to see anything here, so you guys really need to keep an eye on your instruments here and make sure that it's doing what you want it to do. Otherwise, autopilot can go buggy and descend you really steeply. And if you could hear some rain, that's in real life, you guys. I'm sorry if the mic is picking it up. It's raining quite hard here, but it's okay because in our game it's raining anyway. Although not at this altitude, but once we get lower, it's going to start to rain, and added realism, I guess. But yeah, we're going to continue flying this. Probably put the aircraft on time-lapse mode again just for this portion of the leg, just to speed things up a bit. So enjoy, guys. Okay, pink diamond is just about to come up on that first dot, you guys. I'm going to start bleeding our airspeed to about 180 knots right here. And right about here, I'm going to turn to our base leg. So I'm going to click on turn heading select. 160 is set for our, 160 rather, is the heading for our base position. And pretty much once we're established on our base leg, I'm going to go ahead and click on localizer mode, as always, so that we could get captured. So that once we're captured with the localizer, aircraft is going to start turning towards the runway in use for RK's 25 right. We're just going to wait for that to come across to 160. As you can see, you guys, I have the panel on terrain mode, so it's displaying the terrain around me. That way I know whether I'm going to collide with anything or not, if I'm going to hit something or not. It's good to have that on, turned off weather mode. But yeah, so pretty much from here, we're going to click on localizer mode. And once we're captured on the localizer, we should start turning towards the runway. And then a little bit over above the white line, here's when we are going to activate our approach mode. 180, I'm going to set another stage of flap over here. So at this point, we want flaps to be like around 17, 20. And just confirm it here. So we have 18, probably go one more. Set flaps to 20. And we're just going to continue flying this position, you guys, until we have been established on the localizer, and once we're pretty much captured on the localizer, the aircraft should start turning towards the runway. I'm not going to be opening the VFR map because typically when we're flying along base over here, I tend to get worried, like, oh, why is it not turning towards the localizer yet? We probably extended the turn to downwind, so that's probably why we're having a long, you know, base approach, sort of, or base leg. Basically, you can see right now we're pretty much captured on the localizer, but yeah, you know, it's times like this where I'm super tempted to like open the VFR map, but as you guys know, there's a bug with the VFR map. Each time you open it, when it's not the beginning of the flight, the flight simulator just completely crashes on you. And to be honest, you guys, during this entire recording session, I can't tell you how many countless of times the simulator has already crashed on me. So just to make this video, the sim probably crashed 3 or 4 times. I had to reset, and like, obviously you're not gonna know this because I'm gonna probably edit the video. I'm gonna do some editing, but yeah, it was quite a lot of work for this simulator, for this run. And we go ahead and switch on approach mode. Watch out for the bug because it's gonna bounce us back to localizer mode, so we have to be ready for that. Bounces back, and switch back to approach mode right here. Good. And at this point in time, you guys, you want to make sure that you are centered with the runway. So how are you gonna do that? You have to always check your instruments that the pink diamond is in the middle line, and they have to be centered on their respective middle lines over here, which they are, which means we're pretty much on point with the localizer of the runway and as well as the glide slope of the runway. We're still flying about 180 knots, but we're going to reduce that and start slowing down for our final approach speed. We want to go about 160 knots right about now and set about flaps at 25, and we're going to leave it there for now. Just monitor your speed right here because we're dipping a bit low. We're like about 151. We have to monitor what auto throttle is doing and make sure it corrects itself eventually, because we don't want to end up stalling here. Remember, you guys, at this height we can't see the ground. It's gonna be a lot harder to recover, like when you're flying on instruments. So you have to be super alert when it comes to your instrument flying, like especially in this type of condition. So again, constantly monitoring your instruments and the terrain. Obviously, the terrain around you. You can see it's quite mountainous here. So, but we're in the greens. We're good. 160 knots, about maybe 3,000 feet or so. We're gonna put the gears down for our arrival. But in the meantime, we're gonna continue this foggy approach, or low cloud or low visibility approach here. Now, I kind of want to get a good thumbnail shot from here, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the GoPro mode, which on the 787, I just click on Copilot, press spacebar, and just zoom out a bit, and just right here, I don't know, get a good thumbnail shot on that. You can't see anything, but right about here, you guys, we're gonna put the gears down and we're gonna set final stages of flaps. Once we got that done, we could start reducing our speed to about 151 knots for our final approach speed. And again, we still want to continue to cross-check, right? We still want to cross-check like our instruments here. Make sure that we are still on point with the glide slope and the localizer. Check our speed as well, that we're not dipping too low. We don't want to end up stalling the aircraft. And we're just going to continue this approach. About, I don't know, right? Like, what's a good thumbnail shot? You can't really see anything. Anyway, I'm going to go switch back to captain's mode here. Probably use one of those shots for our thumbnails. I don't know. We'll see. Or I might redo the flight just to get a thumbnail. Who knows? But yeah, for now we're just gonna continue. And it's not raining. I'm pretty sure I set the conditions to like rainy, you know, conditions, but probably has stopped. I don't know. Frame rates are dipping a little bit low, but it's okay. We're gonna just continue this approach. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Not too sure what happened to the rain. Maybe it's like broken or something, or scattered. There you go. Rain starting to pour, so it's probably scattered within the area. Probably as we make it lower, rain should start to get heavier. Coming on at 1,300 feet, we want to start. We could turn off terrain here. We're pretty much, well, I know we're pretty much in the clear. But if you guys want, you could keep the terrain option on. But in my case over here, I'm pretty much, I know we're good at this point in time, so I'm gonna turn off terrain there and just slowly adjust this so that it's a little bit closer. Okay, cool. And then we're going to continue this approach. We want to be ready with our auto throttle disengage as well for our arrival. We're coming about 700 feet over here, and we, as you can see, even at 700 feet, 600 feet, we can't see anything in front of us, you guys. It's just we're not going to see anything until the approach lights come. Make sure you guys also do your landing checklist. Make sure you have fully extended your flaps, your speed brakes are armed, and your landing gear is down. And there you guys have it. Approach lights coming into view, continuing the landing. Auto throttle and autopilot disengaged.
40, 30, 20, 10.
Reversers, speed brakes. $60 knots. Reversers come off. And there you guys have it. Welcome to Hong Kong. I'm probably going to exit in the first taxiway and close off the video here, you guys. And just right over here, wanted to start making a left-hand turn. That's a scary approach, you guys. When doing this, doing these types of landings, they're always, you have a little bit of added pressure. But, you know, it feels good when you make it. Trust me. You guys should try it on your own time. Take the time to, like, try close to zero visibility on approaches. They're really fun. But yeah, you guys don't want to stress out how many times Microsoft Flight Simulator has crashed on me throughout the entire recording process of this one episode. So please be sure to leave a like. Alright, because it took a lot of effort for me to, like, edit this video and, like, re-record stuff and reset the flight. So be sure to leave a like and comment suggestions, feedbacks down below. If you guys have not already, of course, subscribe and join the colony. Alright, you guys, once again, take care, and we'll catch you in the next video.